Okay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the Anatad Podcast. We're going to give a minute to make sure that both platforms are live. We are live on YouTube and Periscope, so we'll just give 1 minute here.
And it's unfortunate to anyone that's watching on Facebook, but we will be live on there next week.
Yep.
And I better put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Turn Do Not Disturb on.
Okay, we should be live now. So, hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of the Anatad Podcast. This is episode number 54, I believe. And I'm glad that you are with us. Today is October the 3rd of 2020. I am here in California, and I've learned to speak English today, so that'll be good. And we've got Warren and Marco and a mystery guest here. But before we get going with that, I'll address a couple of things. I've got a comment here from Austin, of course. He says, "Come fast." And I've got a comment from Tabitha here. She says, "Good evening." Hello to both of you, and we're glad that both of you guys are here, and anyone else who is here as well. Now, the way we're going to run this show is going to be a little bit different. Since we have a live interview, we're going to do that first, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Then we will be doing a demonstration of that app, hopefully live if things work out as I would like them to. And then what we're going to do is we have another interview that we will play at the very end of an app that is no longer supported. And so we're going to play that at the end. And also remember that this podcast does have chapter markers. So if there's something that you're listening to that you want to skip, feel free to skip that. And that will be that. Now, we do have a listener email, and my man, I think is Dennis. What we're going to do is we're going to address that next week. We'll do a whole topic on that next week. So I'm not going to address the listener email about Do Not Disturb this week. We will talk about that next week. And I think that is all. So hello, Marco. Hello, Warren.
Good afternoon from down under, where it's a beautiful 26 degrees here, Nimer and Warren. It's a lovely day today.
And here from Washington State, it's beautiful, I think about 78 degrees. We had a warm weather today, so really happy today. And I was sitting out there drinking my tea in the heat.
Drinking your tea.
Excellent.
Yeah. But
So we have
Is that
Austin
78?
here.
Sorry, is that 78 degrees Fahrenheit or centigrade? Because I'll tell you what, if it's centigrade, that's damn hot.
no, Fahrenheit.
hot.
No, that would be burning. But anyway,
So
it gives
I
me
have a
pleasure,
comment
though.
here from Austin, and he says, Russian spy. Where's the Russian spy?
No, he not here. Keep going.
I've got another one. He says, "Come fast, three old men."
Oh,
Yeah.
my.
What?
Final comment from Quentin Thomas. He says, "Hello from Cincinnati. My buddy." I don't know which one of us three is his buddy, but
Hey, that's
four
me.
is his buddy, but that's okay. Hello,
That's
welcome.
me. I'm the cool one.
Is that Cincinnati, Ohio? Ohio. Very good.
Okay, so we'd like to introduce our mystery guest, and Warren will do that, and then he'll tell us a little bit about himself, and we'll have some questions for him as well. And if you have any questions in the live chat, feel free to throw those up, and we'll try to ask a couple of those at the end.
So it gives me pleasure to introduce someone very special to us at Anatad, and that's the developer of the Lazarillo. I can never pronounce that thing right.
Lazarillo.
Lazarillo GPS app that we demoed some time ago. I believe Nimer did that back in the spring. So I want to introduce our friend Rene Espinoza from Mexico City. Rene, welcome.
Hello. Thank you for inviting me.
Hola. Are we going to do the rest of the show in Spanish? Espanol?
Hola, amigo.
Yeah. Actually, I'm from Chile, but I've been in Mexico for about
Chile.
8 months. Eight months.
Buenos dias from Australia. Very good.
Bonos or buenos? Oh, my.
That's what happens when you're trying to speak Espanol in
My Espanol
Australia.
is not as good as my English, unfortunately.
Well, Warren has good Espanol. He tells us all the time he has good
Yeah,
Espanol.
I do.
Okay,
Mi
well.
Espanol poquito.
So, if you want to tell us a little bit about you and about your app, and maybe tell us a little bit about, maybe the history of
of the app.
Lazarillo, how you got started, anything else that you'd like to tell us just to start?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, sure. So, well, this is just as a story. I started working on Lazarillo or Lazarillo, whatever you want to mention, since 2014. So before that, I was working on a medical institution doing assisted technologies, and it came a project in which that they asked me to develop a mobile app for people that were blind and have low vision to navigate the subway in Santiago, Chile. The thing was that I developed it, but since the app was not actually developed with the end user, at the end it didn't work out. So after all the work, it didn't work actually. So I decided to do my thesis on something that it could work to provide orientation in indoor spaces and outdoor spaces, but with the help of the end user. So I actually did my thesis with Miguel Gonzalez. He actually is part of the team. On that time, he was actually a teacher on assistive technologies for to work. Yeah, so JAWS and other screen readers. And so after a whole year of doing iteration and pilot, I came up with the first prototype of Lazarillo in 2015 at the beginning of that. Since then, we actually started the startup in 2016. And because before that, I didn't knew like how I could develop like a business model for this. So in 2016, I got some funding and I started Lazarillo. And as a team, I started the team also. And September 2016, it was launched. And as you know, it's free. And I will be happy to provide more information on how the actually business model works and how we have done a lot of things in Latin America. And soon we will be doing in the United States. Mm-hmm.
Very good. So is the app called, I know you said Lazarillo, or is it called Lazarillo?
So if you're honest, so in Spanish you will say Lazarillo, right?
Okay.
But in English is Lazarillo, I think. So
okay. All right.
That's the part I have difficulty with.
Well, we'll say it the right way. We'll call it Lazarillo. There we go.
Yeah. And the name comes from a book that is called Lazarillo de Tormes. It's about a kid that guided an old man that was blind, and his name was Lázaro. So when something is small in Latin America, people say illo. So you add the illo at the end.
Illo.
So instead of Lázaro, the old man say, "Be my Lazarillo." So then that term is used for guide dogs sometimes. And also I say like how that could evolve eventually to be the Lazarillo of the future, to be like a sort of a virtual assistant, right? Yeah,
all right.
That's the name.
It has a really very interesting story behind it, and I like the part that it has to do with a book, and therefore you develop this app after that. I think that's really good.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a couple of questions, just because I like outdoor navigation app, like any kind of navigation app is kind of my passion. And one of the things that I find with Lazarillo is it doesn't give me as much options for configuring exactly what I want to hear and when I want to hear it. So, for example, I like to hear a lot of things. I like to hear what's around me when I'm walking. I like to hear the intersections that I approach as I approach them. I like to select how I hear those things. So if I hear, just the cross street or just the intersection, and Lazarillo has some of those things, but I find the announcements to be, frankly, a little bit inaccurate in that sometimes, a lot of times, I don't always get the announcements as they're intended to be. And I can't get, like I said, I can't really configure those announcements to be the way that I want them to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I understand what you're mentioning. So for now, the options we have is that you can define the categories you want through a button that is in the top right at the exploration view that is called
Mm-hmm.
filter exploration. So you can filter out when you're walking the categories you want, and if you're in a vehicle, the app can detect that automatically with your velocity, and you can also define those categories. Other things you can change is that if you want to get to hear out the directions as relative, like in front to the right, you can set up that in settings, and also you can set that to be clockwise,
Yeah.
so using the hour, or with south, north, east. Yeah, you can also set that too. Yeah,
But
that
Well, I
certain
have to.
that's
things,
what.
like I can't really choose the duration of how often I get those announcements. Except, for example, like I might want to know the speed at which I'm traveling in a vehicle, or even the heading. As soon as my heading changes, I like to know, am I
Mhm.
heading north, south, east, west, and or even the degrees of not just heading, but like I used to live in Duluth, Minnesota, and that city runs northeast to southwest. So if you say you're going north or east, it's not really north or east. you know what So I don't know. I always look
Mhm.
for apps that give me a lot of configurability. I don't know if you've looked at other alternative, like one app is out there called Nearby Explorer, and that app has a lot of settings options. And so I'm just, just trying to see what your plans are, if you have any, for moving forward with the app or adding additional options, or whether you think this app is sufficient the way it is.
Yeah, yeah. So one of the things we're working now is that um, so to improve the way they announce like how the app announce locations, we're improving that in the near future. We're doing some changes on the structure of the app to be able to in, actually add more sort of options for I would say users that are more into like more technical users, right? That could get into those options and actually set things. But for that, we realized that we need to do some changes in the backend for us to eventually work better. So one of the things that we develop a lot, and most of our users don't know about it, is that the app can work on locations that are not on the like, for example, inside a building, inside a
Mm-hmm.
university campus. And so we one of the things that we take a lot of effort is defining how should work in those uh, different environments. Like if you get into a hospital or into a medical center, what is the information you will require and things like that. Instead of if you are going, for example, inside a bank branch, those locations are quite different, right? In one you might have an appointment or things like that. In the other one, you're looking maybe for standard services like the ATM, the tellers, and things like that. And so we actually have worked a lot on that, but not so many users actually have access currently to those functionality, because for us to work to do that in a country or in a facility, we actually contact the owners. I mean the company, and we sell that to them, and that's how we finance the app also.
Well, can I just say that out of a bunch of apps that I would use in terms of exploration,
Uh-huh.
definitely for me, in any case in Australia, Nearby Explorer would be one of the ones that I go to. But your app, Lazarillo, in terms of its accuracy here, is very, very good. I actually find that the announcements aren't too bad. You seem to have picked up a lot of the landmarks, etc. My suggestion, I think, as Nimrod said, it would be nice to have a little bit more configurability.
Mhm.
So you can find out a little bit more about directions. You can turn certain things on and off, like you can with other apps. You can find out more about directional navigation, more about degrees, etc., like Nimmer mentioned just before. But my question is, what maps are you utilizing? How do you get the information into the app? Are you able to elaborate on that?
Yeah, sure. So, well, we use different sources of maps. Like we use um, like from Google Maps, OpenStreetMap, Foursquare, and even other databases. And the thing is that we also have our own database of things we have mapped. Like, for example, as I said, like a university campus, if that university goes into Lazarillo, that means that we will use only our database because we'll be more detailed on everything that's there. And so, but the thing is that we try to hear out users if they're how is like the app working there and all that. And so we have discovered that some databases work better in some countries, even in some areas, than
Well,
others.
it might be worthwhile you looking into, especially if you're talking about getting navigation within campuses, etc. I know that there's a couple of companies within Australia now that are doing work in terms of allowing people to have navigation within all buildings within this country. So there's definitely a company that's just started up, actually, and a friend of mine just got a job there. And I might put you in contact with them, but I know for a fact that in this country there is already work going on with that sort of thing. So it might be worth you getting in contact. But that would be definitely a fantastic improvement if you can get that to happen, not only in the US but everywhere else. That'd be great.
Yeah, actually, so one of the changes that we're doing is that event in the near future, it will be easy to publish. So, for example, if someone is working, as you said, in Australia, and they want to publish that mapping to Lazarillo, we're working so that it will be easier. Of course, we have a platform to do that already, but as people are working on this in many countries, I would say, we're trying to partner up with those companies so that they can publish that info to Lazarillo, and then our users can access that, and then create a better community, I would say. Like one of the things that we work hard on is understanding what are the new needs, especially in this new normal. And so, for example, we develop a news feed inside Lazarillo, right? That is in the bottom bar, but in some countries it's full of information, in some others not already. So one of the things is like how, that is our challenge, how these sort of functionalities that are new, how we manage to grow that outside, in many countries as much as we can.
One of the benefits of GPS apps, and then, I won't ask too many more questions, but one of the benefits of GPS apps happens to be the ability to, because I like to go out and explore, I like to hike and go on trails and all this kind of thing. Whoa. Sorry about that. Hey. Okay.
Buy me a ticket, Nimer. Buy me a ticket.
Yeah, one of the benefits of GPS apps in outdoors is to be able to use it for something like hiking, to be able to use, between Marco sending me Telegram messages and that stupid app. Anyway, one of the benefits of using a GPS app outdoors happens to be you can use things like latitude, longitude, or even things like creating points of interest out in the middle of nowhere and having some kind of an idea of setting a watch back to that point, or knowing how far away you are, or just a general flight back to that. So, because this is one thing I do, I like to geocache, and I just like to go out and hike and go out on trails and things like that. I don't know how many people do that, but I just want to know, like, are those kind of features something that's on your radar to be able to make the app better for use for places that are not really on a road or even on a college campus?
Yeah. You mean like a park or things like that? Like
yes, exactly. Or a trail, hiking trail, or something like that.
So in other words, what he's saying though, Rene, is like, okay, so I go out with my family on a trail, and like where we park the car, and I should mark that spot. And as I walk along, and I'm out there 2 miles out or whatever, and now I'm wanting to find my way back and see if that thing could guide me back to the point that I marked where the car was parked.
Yeah.
Well, that's one thing. On latitude, longitude, breadcrumbs, a lot of things. There's a lot of these kind of features that can be added to such an app for, or even I like to compare apps to Nearby Explorer, because that's like, first of all, that app is no longer being developed, which is a shame. But then that app is kind of like it's got a lot of options. So they do have a watch feature, they have a geo beam feature, things like this to help people find places that are not even on the street.
Yeah, yeah. So what you can do now is that you can add that place to as a favorite,
Yeah.
and then as using your GPS and add that information. One of the things that I think that will be something that will be for at the beginning of next year, is that you eventually will be able to talk to Lazarillo and set those things more fast, right? So like
Yeah.
say this spot or things like that, and then by voice defining the name of that spot, and then have ways to get a reference to that location. That is something that we eventually will be adding. And so also for trails and parks, um, we are thinking on as we have a platform that parks could eventually get all the trails and actually get all the routes of the trail if you're going to a park, and add all the information such as where are the bathrooms and things like that. We're thinking of how we could eventually provide like a sort of platform that will be as a self-service. So those parks can be inside Lazarillo, and then so even like you could add locations, but if you want to get back, it will not be only like getting the relative distance, but also like a route, for example.
Well, I think that's
Things like
good
that.
and bad. On one hand, like, I think, right, so getting a route is good, but I also think getting
Yeah.
that general relative information is also good because I can't imagine that very many, I don't know how many parks will do that around the world, right? That's the problem with all of these apps. There's a number of these apps that come out and say, hey, we have our own platform. But how many parks how many places, like if I look up, I don't know, the Right Here app, for example. Right Here is another one of these stupid apps. They got, if I look up
Nima.
if I look up the locations, list of locations, the closest one to me that I can access is somewhere like 800 miles away or something like that.
Yeah.
So, and as long as people have to manually add these
Yeah.
things in, it's always going to be this kind of a problem. But in the meantime, I'm not saying don't do that because, of course, it's probably good that some parks do get added. But in the
Yeah.
meantime, we need to have that relative information as well. And that latitude, longitude is kind of important to be able just to type in a specific point or be able to know exactly, okay, I add in favorites, but now I want to add points of interest like markers as I go along. Not just, oh, this is where I started, but oh, here's a turn on the trail. I need to mark this point. Of course, I'm not going to get
Yeah.
exactly back to it, but I'll get pretty close.
I think you're saying like how it's possible to add like, for example, multiple points as you are moving in a trail, and then have that saved to you, something like that, right?
Well, that's one thing, but there's a lot of things that can be done for somebody who's out in the middle of nowhere. Again, accessing latitude, longitude, like when you geocache, a lot of these geocaching apps, all they give you is a latitude, longitude, and then you have to find where that is. So even just being able to put something like that in, of course, I understand these are a little bit more advanced features, but for those of us who like to be outdoors, I think they're very important features.
Yeah, I think that
And now in the
the
days of COVID, that's a safe activity people can actually do. You can
yeah,
go
yeah.
outdoors and be outdoors, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. And I think that we want to encourage for people to do exercise and those activities. So I think what is always a challenge not actually to add the feature is how to add the feature so that in a way the app could be simple at the same time. If you want to go deep, you can use it in a deeper way. I think
Yes.
those are like I think like that's what sometimes make us difficult to add new features, because we want the app to be useful as much as it can, but at the
Sure.
same time we wanted to make it super simple so that if there's someone that is just starting using the phone, things like that, they can have a benefit with that with the app, and at the
Yeah.
same time, if someone
Yeah.
that is has more experience, they can also uh, have more like expertise on doing these kind of things.
Well,
I
if I
think the
can
reason why
recommend, this
we
is why you
suggested-
added advanced mode. A lot of these apps, they have advanced settings or something like that. So
Yeah, and I think the
I don't
reason
know.
why we are sort of talking about that as well is because we tend to use, and I think we all use different Explorer apps. And to be perfectly frank, most of these Explorer apps are very similar, especially if you're looking at Right Here or whatever it's called, or Nearby Explorer was the best, but that's long ago Explorer now because it's dead. So essentially you're competing with, let's say, one or two other apps. In my opinion, I think your app has the best layout. It's certainly easy to navigate around. It's, for me anyway, in this country, the most accurate. So I think it's good to have that already, but then explore some other options that people might want. And it completely understand you want to keep it simple, which is fine. But also, in my opinion, if you've got a settings button, you can never have too many settings or too many options or configurability for people that want that. So just keep that in mind, I guess, for future releases, because I really think this app could go a long way.
I think what will be super interesting for us is that we could iterate more, maybe not in a podcast, but iterate more in a closed session to understand more your suggestions. We have actually a lot of suggestions from users, also that they can actually reach to us through email. And so, yeah, I would say, honestly, that we have a huge list of suggestions that we are always trying to figure it out, okay, how we can at least add one of these, and then start as we add that one, check if that has an impact on the users, and then okay, move forward, let's add another one. And so I think that there's a lot of ways that we can still improve, and I'm really open for have another session where we can discuss more on this. So that
that would be great. We would love that. We can always connect to that. Yeah, I think we'd love that.
Yeah,
Right.
that would be good. And as a comment, I really like what you both are saying, or all three of you are saying. Some people just like something simple, but if you create this, you have the advanced feature or settings where those who want more, like what Nimer was talking about, they could go into that. But for an average Joe who simply wants to be able to move from Magnolia Street to Xavier or something like that, they just want to simply say, hey, take me from here to there. And to be honest, I think a lot of people are those type of users. But if you guys are able to kind of look into this and have this advanced feature, then I think you're satisfying both camps, and that would be wonderful.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, before we end this, I want users to have a chance. If you're on the live stream, you have some questions, feel free to post those in. But before we do that, Marco posted a question to me on Telegram, and he wanted to know if your app has Chinese spy in it.
Oh no, he's not from China.
We'll remove that from the podcast. Don't worry. But
It's a serious question though, and I actually can't remember whether I did this or not. Is your app a paid app or is it a free app?
No, it's free.
It's a
It's
free
totally
app.
free. Yeah, it's free.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean.
So how do you guys manage to keep the app going? Obviously, because I'm looking at the app and I've used it a few times, but there's no ads. So how do you manage to support it?
Yeah. So what we do is that, so we have now done this in different countries. We're growing on this, and we're now, I would say in a few months, will be this in the United States, in which that we sell to, for example, a hospital, a university, a bank, and all that so that they can manage their listing within the app. They can post relevant information to the app, and also they can add different features so that eventually will help in cases of the workforce, that could help employees in some things. For public places like a hospital, it will help people that is going to the hospital. So, for example, imagine this, that through the app, you not only reach the front door, you can actually get to your appointment. And that same system is actually, we provide an API to the hospital. They can integrate that to their own app. And so it's for every patient. So any patient that use the app from this hospital, they can get navigation. If they can see, they will get maps, of course, things like that, visual maps. But through Lazarillo, you will be easily guided through the space. And for that, we charge a subscription. And also, companies can post information. So that would be, and we have some features so that users can filter out information.
Well, as I said earlier, it's definitely worth looking into in terms of partnering up. There's one company which I will find out the name of, I've just forgotten, and it's not Foursquare, it's a completely new company that are just concentrating on indoor mapping of buildings. That's all they're concentrating on. So I understand that you've got obviously businesses that you approach, but it might be maybe just a thought that you would be able to hit a lot more businesses quickly because that's their sole goal. Unfortunately, they haven't got an app. They're just doing it online. So it's annoying because you have to actually go on the website to make it work. So it might be an in for you guys, especially in this country. And I imagine other countries would be doing something similar.
That would be great because they could be able to, join forces. That will be inside Lazarillo also. And so for something I would like to add is that, for example, now companies can post information such as job opportunities within the app, changes in a schedule. So local government, if they're providing benefits or things like that, they can post that information. We are partnering up with different institutions so that they can do that. And so that brings more opportunities to our users that are using the app for navigation, but due to COVID, they're now home, right? So this is a way of accessing that information that sometimes is not accessible. And you cannot post anything to Lazarillo if it is not digitally accessible. And so we help the company, the public institution to do that. And so I think that's a good differentiation that we're looking for to the future, that we can eventually expand to as much countries as we can.
That's great. Are you getting a lot of companies to buy into this, or how are you guys getting the word out? Or
So one of the things is that we're reaching out to these companies, and we're showing how they can do it. We're also reaching out to cities. So some of them are faster than the other ones. But for example, in some countries in Latin America, the government is already using it to publish information that is really important. Like they just set a benefit for people with disabilities that like money benefits, right? They publish that, for example, or
that's great.
They provide. Yeah, that's amazing because
that's
like
really
if
good.
you are living in that country, you will get that information. That before this was in a hidden website in a PDF that was like a photo of the PDF. That is sometimes stupid, but they kind of do that sometimes in some countries, right? So that document was not accessible, all that. So instead of that, it's set in a news that is framed to make inside Lazarillo, so that you can easily access with a screen reader. You can easily have different buttons to apply, for example, for a job opportunity or for a grant or for anything that eventually institutions are getting out there. Yeah.
Great. Austin wants to know, will indoor navigation work in India?
In India? That's funny because like we actually were in a competition in India a few weeks ago. And so what we wanted, we won that competition for assistive technology, but the end goal we want is to have a local partner in India, because that's some of the things that we have quite some users in India. So to have a local partner that could do this work would be great. Yeah.
Okay, but at the moment you don't have any indoor places in India?
No, in India, no. And in the US, we just started, for example, right now with a nonprofit last year that we did one, just like a pilot. But in Chile, Costa Rica, and soon Mexico, they have quite some places. Yeah.
Oh, so it's moving north, and we'll
yeah.
have that here. Good.
Moving north. Yeah. and we're doing some interesting partnerships there in the United States. So I think there are many people working in accessibility in different ways. We believe in working together so that people can be like the only way to do it, like as you said, like have all places mapped out or have all the information going on, like accurate and all that is quite a difficult task. So do that ourselves will be impossible. So that's why we collaborate a lot.
Well, we have a user that wants to know where is India.
Where's India?
That was Marco. Just ignore him.
Hey, Austin, can you tell Marco where India is?
And I want to know, is it the reason that you don't have as many places in the U.S. because you can't get past the U.S. wall, the big wall that they have now?
Well, I'm from Chile. Remember that.
Yeah, he's from Chile. He's from Chile.
Okay, all right.
All right. Well, thank you very much for popping on the podcast, Rene. This has been really fascinating. I really do hope that you guys continue working on it. Yeah, absolutely. Because I think you've definitely got a very good product, and just keep working hard at it and get that indoor stuff happening. That'd be awesome, especially over here because we haven't got it yet, obviously, through your app. But
we've got over 3,000 listeners a month, and I want to welcome you. Come back on the podcast anytime that you want to come back to tell us what's new in your app, or if you have any new features or anything else that you'd like to tell us about. So please, let us know, and we're happy to help and support you as well. And if you want to connect as well off the cast, it's at a later point too, and we can talk about features. That'd be great as well.
That's
amazing. Thank you so much for coming on.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And if you like, Rene, you could also, join our mailing list and post things there where different people can read about it. So that's a great opportunity.
When Austin says, Marco, it's on the moon.
Thank you, Austin. Well, thank you
right,
so
Rene.
much. Rene, you go get that dinner going on, my man, and I appreciate you coming on. This is really good. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me again. I will definitely let you know when new things are coming. And thank you so much.
And just before you go, Rene, just quickly, if you want to quickly rattle through your contact details, how can listeners get a hold of you?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so for anyone that wants to download the app, you can go to Google Play or App Store, and you will just need to type Lazarillo app. And then if you want to check out our website for more information, it's lazarillo.app. So it's super simple. And you can also, if you're actually have any sort of problem or suggestion, please send us an email to app, so APP at lazarillo.app and at lazarillo.cl. So that we will always we actually have our support desk that answer all the messages, and you can find that in settings to contact information. So
So that's app at lazarillo.cl.
Yeah.
Okay. Lovely.
You want to spell Lazarillo for us, so some people don't know how to spell anything?
Yeah, that would be So Lazarillo.
Okay, so Lazarillo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Thank you, Rene.
Thank you very much for coming on.
Say hello to your girlfriend for letting you come on, and
invite her on next time. I'd like to talk to her.
Next time, have her come on.
I think she's doing something else outside. Yeah,
she's making dinner.
All right.
All right. Well,
all right, Rene. Thank you again.
Thank Rene for coming on, and now what we're going to do is we're going to have a little.
Oh,
Nimer, you disappeared.
Hello.
I think Nimer disappeared.
I think I've died as well. Hello.
I can hear you, Marco.
Nimer, you there?
Oh, I removed myself.
Oh, there you go. There you go, Nimer.
Oh, you're back. This is going well, isn't it?
I think Nimer went to eat Rene's dinner in Mexico City or something.
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to We're going to do a little bit of a demonstration of Lazarillo. Let me look and see if we have any additional comments here. Lazarillo.cl. Yep, Austin posted the email. Very good. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of a demonstration of Lazarillo, and Marco's going to run through the app, tell us what we can find in the app and everything else, and I'm going to make a transition to
this
the
could be interesting.
I hope it works.
And I'll walk around, and if I fall off the face of a cliff, it was
Now,
good
is this
knowing
the
you guys.
first time that this has
We'll
ever
know
happened
what
on our
happens.
podcast? Is this a first? Because I'll tell you what, Nimer, this will be amazing if this works out.
Well, we have done recordings, but we have not actually
No, but
gone
not
live
live.
in the outdoors.
Yeah, this is live, baby. Oh, yeah. All right. So, Nimer, whilst you go and do that, I'll quickly run. And, of course, we're doing it on an Android phone or the Android platform. So, it's fairly simple layout. At the very bottom of the screen, we have our tabs. So, whenever you enter the app, you will always be on the General tab.
Exploration tab selected. Education facilities.
So,
Hubs and clubs.
Exploration.
selected.
Sorry, not General. Exploration.
Favorites tab. News tab.
By the way, this does exist on iOS as well, and iOS has similar
Yeah, it'll be the
features,
same
so-
layout. Yeah.
News tab. Favorites tab.
So we have exploration,
News
favorites,
tab.
news,
Settings tab.
settings,
Exploration.
and that's it. So in the exploration tab, we have
Start exploration button.
start exploration. So we'll click on that and see what happens.
Exploration started. You are on 1 Rosebery Grove, Glen Huntly, Melbourne, Victoria, 3163.
All right, so it's actually picked up the street around the corner from us,
I
but it's
like that
actually
voice,
in the right
Marco.
spot. It's not a bad voice, that one. That's
Exploration.
my favorite one.
Settings tab. Stop exploration
So
button.
we'll stop that for
Exploration
now.
is stopped.
Exploration. Start exploration button. Where am I button? Search button. Category filtering for exploration button. 1 Rosebery Grove, Glen Huntly, Melbourne, Victoria, 3163 distance, 0 meters. Banks and ATMs. Health. Food. Stores. Arts and entertainment. Public buildings. Education facilities. Hubs and clubs. Lodging. Exploration tab selected.
So those are all the categories that you can pick off. Obviously, you can click on those categories and then search for whatever's nearby you. That's the whole point of the exploration side of things. Then we go into the favorites tab.
Favorites tab. Favorites tab selected. No favorites added.
So I've got no favorites at the moment, so that shows how often I use the app.
Favorites tab selected. News tab.
Although there's not much to do around here at the moment because we're in lockdown. So
COVID.
anyway, that's all right. News. Let's see what news they have.
You have no notifications. Exploration tab. You have no news.
No notifications, so nothing new there.
Settings tab.
And settings. There's lots in
Settings tab
here.
selected. Button email Marco Docker. Button username Marco Cup user. Settings.
Okay, so from the top,
User. Button username Marco Carlejo. Button email Marco Docker at Gmail. Button verify email verified. Button account balance 0 Chilean pesos.
now I'm not sure why it's asking me the balance, but anyway, maybe I've got 0 Chilean pesos, but that's good. Not sure what that's about, but
Button account balance 0 Chilean pesos.
Maybe it could be something that someone reloads their account for, maybe
it might be for future features or something,
cardless
maybe
payments or something. I don't know.
something like that.
Yeah.
Then we've got an audio button.
Button speech speed very fast. Audio. Button speech speed very fast.
Well, apparently I've got speech very fast, but it's not that quick.
Button voice engine Google text to speech engine.
That's the voice.
Button GPS signal announcements checkbox check notify when the GPS signal is lost or found.
So that'll just tell you whether the GPS is lost or found. For some reason, I've got that checked, which is probably not a bad thing to have. But anyway, we'll leave it checked for now.
Voice announcements. Button unit of measure metric.
So unit measure is metric, which is what we have here.
Button announcements format relative directions. Front back. Button intersection say all street names. User interface. Button category list layout as list. Button enable dark mode system default. Miscellaneous.
So they're all pretty self-explanatory.
Button don't lock the device checkbox checked.
So I've got that turned on because you don't want the thing to lock when you're wandering along. That's quite annoying.
Button sender Bluetooth and lug as accessibles checkbox checked. Button sender Bluetooth and lug as accessibles checkbox checked.
Not sure about something to do with Bluetooth, but anyway, it's checked.
Button contact any suggestions or complaints. Keep in touch with the developers. Button Lazarillo on the Play Store rate or update the app. Button share the app. Button Lazarillo website https://www.lazarillo.cl. Button start tutorial. Button log out. Button privacy policy https://button app version 2.4. Exploration tab.
And that's basically it. So it's a fairly straightforward app. It's not really complex at all. I think, like we were saying earlier, Warren, it's quite a decent app. I think it's definitely very good for getting around, just your obvious sort of places. But I think, like Nimer was saying before, it would be nice if it had a little bit more detail, especially if you're out in the country or inside.
Out on the
that would be
trail,
quite
yeah.
handy.
That is
Yeah.
true. I like
But in
the
terms
app
of getting
in
around, it's
general.
good. Yeah, I like
is
the
a
app
good
too.
app.
I think it's quite accurate. It's not a bad app at all.
Yeah,
So,
and you know what? To my shame, I've not been using that app as I ought to.
yeah,
And
me too.
every
Yeah.
time I look at it, I said, "Doggone it, I need to get that thing and use it." And
Mm.
what a shame! I'm gonna start using that app before it gets
I
cold.
have used it a few times, like especially before COVID when we were able to like drive around and stuff easily. It's quite handy because it will let you know well in advance if you're coming up to something, especially if you're looking for a petrol station or a bank or a shop or something. It's quite useful for that.
Okay, yeah. So it does have a driving mode, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
recall.
it
Yeah.
doesn't essentially, but you can use it like it still works. Like if it obviously it has to pick up things a bit quicker, but it still does it essentially. You might have to be a little bit more cautious. It might miss things because you're going
Yeah.
quicker, obviously,
Yeah.
but it still works. And that actually wouldn't be a bad thing. They should potentially look at having a driving mode. I think that'd be quite handy too. Maybe worth suggesting to Rene, I guess.
You know, a comment, something that I wanted to talk to him about, or it was just a comment that I think. So if I understand this, like what he was talking about, the indoor navigation. So it has all these databases. You could use the Google. So if I'm outside, I could choose to use like a Google directions, and then if I'm indoor, then I would be using theirs. Is that my understanding of how that thing is? I was
Yeah,
gonna
that's what
ask
I
him
think
that.
he sort of. I
Yeah.
assume that's what he meant.
That
but
was he was alluding to, yeah. And I
I
think
think
it makes sense.
what would be good though, because as I said, there's a company here in Australia that's now started mapping inside, so they're not working with Foursquare because Foursquare in this country is pretty much dead anyway. There hasn't really been much movement forward, but would be the perfect space for Lazarillo to take over, because indoor navigation would be excellent, especially in if you're in a hospital or an airport or something. That'd be good. Just
Maybe you
stuff
could
like
hook
that.
him up with
Yeah, I'll
these
definitely
guys.
send him an email because I think it's worth. Well, if he's interested in following it up, I think it's because
He
he
sounds
said he
like-
did
he
mention
sounded
that
like he
they had the
does.
indoor stuff sorted in Chile and stuff, but obviously I assume it's not really that up to date in the US yet or anything like that. So
No,
be
they're
good if
just
they
starting
could
that.
do
So
that.
I think it has some promises. It's promising in a sense because I think once they get all these things ironed out, I think we're going to have one good app in our hands, and I'm looking forward to that.
Well, definitely better than right here or whatever it is, because every time I open that up, it tells me that the nearest landmark is 8,000 kilometers away. So it's like, well, that's useful.
I
Somewhere
think
in the
I'm
Middle
gonna bring
East.
him on, the guy from right here.
Oh,
See if
that
he
could be an
just talk
interesting
with us
interview.
a little bit. See what happens. Oh my goodness! So Nimer, are you hearing us, or shall we keep talking about Lazarillo?
Lazarillo, Warren.
Lazarillo. I can't say that thing. Lazarillo. There we go. Or Lazarillo. I think it's easier to say Lazarillo.
So we haven't. It looks like Nimer's not on stream at the moment, so I assume he's not connected.
Yeah, so he was trying to see if he could just demonstrate this thing live, and sounds like he's probably fallen off the face of the earth, fall all the way down to China.
All right,
So-
Nimer, we've got you there now, mate. We can hear you.
Whoa, good. Hello, everybody.
Welcome
just-
back,
I
my
think
man.
I just
thought
had
you
to-
fell into China.
No,
out
I had to
there.
add him. I just added him to the stream. I think he was having a bit of issue, but we've got you now, there, my
I
friend.
added myself to the stream, but what happened initially was after I added myself to the stream, I left my house and I realized my mobile data was off because I'm using my Project Pi.
And I'm just
so you
thinking,
were on
Nimer,
Wi-Fi.
you know why your audio might be the way it is. Are you able to click on that audio button and check the box or not?
But it doesn't do much of a difference on mobile.
No, I think it sounds okay. Just go ahead and demonstrate it, Nimer.
Just go ahead and demonstrate it. Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to open up Lazarillo, and I'm standing here along a street, and we're going to walk around for a while.
You are on 38,622 Fremont Boulevard, Fremont, TA 94,536, USA.
All right, I don't know if you guys can hear that at all.
Yeah. No, that was loud and clear.
Very loud, yeah.
Very loud.
194 feet to the west.
Well, I'm glad it's loud because we're about to hit a busy road. So I've got all the options checked, and so as I walk along, it should be reading to me what I'm passing by.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
All right, so I'm walking along, and if I fall off a cliff, I don't have a cane or a dog or anything. So
We'll dig you out of China if you fall through.
could be a great experiment, I guess.
You might end up on the moon in India.
All right, so it announced an
Oh, my.
intersection. And it told me it was 82 feet to the south. It's not quite that far, but
Intersection Fremont Boulevard and Monroe Avenue, 80 feet to the south.
it said 80 feet to the south, but I'm actually at the intersection. In fact, I'm crossing the road.
I think maybe it has a little bit of lag, keeping with your movement.
Well, this is what I've said. Lazarillo really isn't the most accurate app here. I don't have these issues with Nearby Explorer. But frankly,
see
it's
what
just
it
not the
does.
most accurate app in the universe. So
Let's
I've
see
turned,
what
and
it
I'm on
does.
another road now.
In your next intersection.
Yeah, and I've turned. I'm on another road. Oops, I just ran into a bush. Very good. This is dangerous, guys. You know, the things I do for you guys.
Bus stop 38,932 Fremont Boulevard, 102 feet to the southeast.
All right, so it says there's a bus stop.
And I think there Nimer fell off the face of the earth. If you're hearing us, Nimer, you're kind of disconnected there. It sounds like, hey Nimer, this is Houston. Nimer,
He's gone-
this is
he's gone
Houston. Marco, doesn't this remind you of those guys on the moon and Houston? There you go.
We've got him back there.
This is Houston. Nimer, Houston calling.
Sorry, my device locked. Anyway, it's telling me that I'm approaching a bus stop, but it never told me that I turned on this road.
34 feet to the southeast.
So maybe from the
reason you lost me is because the phone locked.
38,932 Fremont Boulevard.
So maybe you should have checked that one that says don't lock the
See,
device.
this is annoying. It's telling me that I'm approaching the bus stop, but it's announcing it literally every 2 feet that I'm walking. I don't know. I don't need to know that.
Now, this is what you were talking about. Maybe one could say, hey, tell me this information maybe every minute or every 30 seconds or whatever.
No, I can't actually configure it at all. It's just, wow, that's loud.
Hey. Wow.
What was that?
I
Was that
thought
a
you were
cow?
about to take off there, man. Was that the jet?
Was
That's
it
a
a cow?
sports car, I believe. So I'm walking past a McDonald's, and it's not telling me that.
You are on 38,860 Fremont Boulevard.
So it knows what street I'm walking down, but it didn't tell me that I turned on the road. So I don't. It's not.
See, that's interesting that you're
Explorer
having
is
that
not more
experience
accurate.
over there, because over here, most landmarks that I walk past, it tends to read pretty well. That's why I was saying to Rene earlier, it was pretty good here. So that's interesting.
See, now it's telling me that I'm passing. That the bus stop is behind me, and I frankly don't care if it's behind me. I've already passed it.
176 feet to the northwest.
See, it's still
Yeah.
telling me that it's behind me. I've already passed it.
Okay. What I'm wondering,
I
There
don't
is an
care if
option
if it's-
there is an option in your settings where you can change front and back. Have you got it set to front and back? Because I think you can turn that behind thing off.
No, you can't. I've checked in the settings. There's no setting to turn. I mean, you can change how it announces it if it says clock face or compass
Yeah.
direction. But there's no way to
Okay,
change.
you can't turn the back off.
yeah,
If
so you can
something
choose
is in
either
front of you or
or.
behind you.
See, that would be quite useful to turn. I mean, I have no interest in what's behind me, essentially.
Right, I don't either. I've already
Yeah.
passed it.
Yeah. Now, I
So I'm
was just,
approaching another intersection, and so far it hasn't said a word about it.
I
And it
was just,
probably will eventually.
this is
Probably when you're
Houston.
halfway across the street.
I was just kind of wondering if you
There it
had.
is. It said it's 80 feet to the southeast. There it is.
Boulevard heading southeast.
And it's telling me which road I'm on, and I'm heading southeast. But frankly, I've been on this road a while, and it should have said it by now.
And did you have a destination in mind, or could that
I
have made any
haven't. No, I haven't
difference?
plugged in a destination. If I do plug in a,
To the south.
and I'm at the intersection, so I guess 44 feet isn't so bad. If I do put a destination, it does tell me, but it tells me very like as soon as I walk 10 feet, it tells me, oh, your destination is how many other feet in front of you. Your destination
Now
is how many other.
you're bringing back memories for me, and this is, I think, why I didn't use it as much. Like, I use Google Maps because if I plug in a destination, Google Maps is quite accurate at telling you where you have to turn and stuff like that. I think this is probably why I don't use this app as much.
See, I've turned on another road,
Well, but the app allows you to
and
use
it hasn't
Google Maps.
announced that I'm on another road. It has told me
Yeah.
that the intersection is behind me, but I don't know that I've turned on this other road.
Hmm.
So, like this is what I've
Bus
said.
stop Mallory Avenue and Lexington Street, 203 feet to the east.
This is what I've said. This app has a good amount of information, but it doesn't tell me quite the information that I actually want.
Bus stop Mallory Avenue and Lexington Street, 170 feet to your right.
And like I can turn off the announcement of bus stops or any of the other points of interest, but it doesn't even announce a lot of the point. Like the McDonald's I passed, it never said I was by McDonald's, or the Citibank or the Chase Bank that I passed by, or the car shop that I passed by. It doesn't. It's not announcing these things.
Bus stop Mallory Avenue and Lexington Street, 122 feet to the east.
And that's interesting that it's not doing that, because if they are using Google Maps, all that stuff's in there anyway. I'm
It is,
surprised
and
it's not
Nearby
coming up.
Explorer recognizes it, to be
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, but couldn't you have chosen Google Maps for Lazarillo to utilize?
You
though?
can't choose which map provider.
No,
as far
you
as I
can't
know.
choose. No, you
Oh.
can't. No, it's not in the settings. There's not even an option. That's why I asked him what maps he was using,
Yeah,
because
but he was
I didn't
talking
even
about
realize.
Google Maps and the.
Well, that's probably-
they use Google Maps,
They
and they
use
also
it.
use other sources.
He mentioned they use Google Maps, Foursquare, and a couple of other things, but like you can't pick
They
what you're going to
finally
use.
told me what street I was on, but I've literally been on this road for almost a block.
Okay, so I think it's time for you to start coming back home, Nimer.
Oh, I'm just
Come home
walking
to-
around the block. I'm walking around the block.
Yeah, come home to mama.
Yeah, I'm coming home to Mama, and I'm bringing that back home to Mama as well.
Because I'm not used to you walking
There we
around
go.
like this.
Okay, all right. So it announced a Big Five sporting goods shop. So it's a sporting goods store.
So
At
see,
140
sometimes
feet
it
to my
works.
right.
Lexington Street and Mallory Avenue, 61 feet to the
Yeah,
southeast.
sometimes it works, but it's not reliable though. That's
So
the
that
annoying thing.
intersection that announced it 61 feet to the southeast while I was at the intersection. So it's just not it's just not,
Well, that's GPS as well. That's
not really. It is kind of, but Google Maps and Nearby
Oh,
Explorer
no, I think,
don't have this trouble.
I think Google Maps and well, that's what I was saying. Google Maps and Nearby Explorer are pretty much, well, when it tells me I'm at a corner, I'm pretty much at the corner. So
Yeah, and so those things
It's a
are,
lot
you
more
you
accurate.
still have a little bit of
Yeah.
points where you're off, but it's not that far.
yeah, that's true.
So I don't know, like, for anybody listening, like, this isn't really, I understand, like, a lot of people rely on this app, and I guess since we're going to eventually lose Nearby Explorer, I should probably do so more. But it's not an app that I really think is very powerful. It does let you choose a lot of points, what you want to announce, but it doesn't let you choose a lot of options in terms of, I want it to announce every so often or not announce this or announce what street I've turned down. Like, I've turned down the street and it hasn't said it yet. I've been walking along this street for...
Does it have a check to speak where I'm at? I don't remember.
No, not that I could find in the settings. No.
Lexington Street heading northwest.
Finally, it announced it. That's kind of important, if I've turned down
There
the
is
street
a-
and you didn't realize it, I want to know what street I've turned down.
There
That's
is
kind
a
of
button
important.
on there that you can press, and it's when you're on the Explore screen that you can press to announce. But I'm not sure whether how accurate that is in terms of.
It's a
maybe
where am I button. Yeah, it does. It does work.
I don't know how quick if it would actually pick it up a bit quicker. It'd be interesting to see if you turned a corner and then just push that button, maybe, I don't know, 10 meters down to see whether it actually picks it up.
PA 94,000.
Oh, I suspect it does, but even, like, I don't know, it tells me the exact
But
address.
it should do
I'm
that
at.
vocally. It should do that automatically anyway. I agree. I do agree with that. Yeah. Definitely.
So I don't know. I guess I would like to see a lot of improvements to the app, and I think he sounded like he might be interested in working on that. So, let's see what
Well,
we
the
can
other
all do
slight thing,
together.
and this is why I was asking him about what improvements he was making, because I did notice, and I have noticed, this app hasn't been updated for a while now. I think it's been...
I get updates all the time, but I
I
guess
do,
I
so I
might
haven't
be
had
in
an
beta.
update for a long time.
Oh no,
I
he
might be in the
updates
beta,
it.
but I get update all the time. So it might just be the beta, but
Maybe.
I certainly do get updates, probably every couple of weeks or so.
Yeah,
Because this
that's
app, I
true.
hope, really does well. It, in my view, anyway. Besides Nearby and even Google Maps, to be fair, I think Google Maps is still better than this, but depends on what you want to do. But I think Nearby and all that is definitely better. But I just really hope that this guy can push through some updates. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this gives you information that Google Maps does not,
Sure.
but it's
Yeah.
not very good.
Intersection Lexington Street and Monroe Avenue, 24 feet in front
Okay,
of
so
you.
this intersection, it's got very accurately, I'm right at the intersection. As soon as it said that I'm on it, I'm at the intersection.
And I'm kind of wondering, though, probably the connectivity, I don't know if it has better connection at certain points or whatever, and that
No,
might...
it has nothing to do with connectivity. I've got excellent service on it's...
Okay.
No, you should. I mean, essentially, if the app's
And it's
working as
using
it should do, you
GPS
should get it
anyway.
always. Yeah, you should get it. fairly
34
constant.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just turned on the street. Let's see. Where am I?
You are on 3733 Monroe Avenue, Fremont.
Yep, so it realized that I turned when I hit the where am I, but it's not announcing it automatically.
Yeah, so the announcement should be automatic. That
Yeah.
should be. If they fix that part of it up, I think that'd solve a lot of people's annoyance. To be
Yeah,
fair.
or at least maybe have that check to say where I'm at, or something
Yeah.
stupid like that. You know,
a big
if I hit a corner and it's not saying where I'm at, I might as well check it. Hey, where the hell am I?
But in general, its announcements aren't all that useful, and they're too verbose. You know, telling me this is behind me the whole time I'm walking past something is just kind of, I don't know.
That's pointless. Yeah, I agree.
Street address 3939
Also,
Monroe
I don't know if you
Avenue,
guys
200
have used this in a car, but
Yeah,
the
I was just
announcements
talking
in a
to Warren
car
about
are
it
actually
before.
not very good at all. They're
Yeah.
just not.
And the thing you've got to be careful about if you're in a car is it will usually announce stuff, but it's usually too late. Like you've really got to. Well,
Yeah.
if you don't know exactly where you are, then it's a complete waste of time. If you know where you are, then it's okay because you
So
can
it sounds
plan
more
for it.
like this is aimed at, pedestrians or something
definitely
like
aimed
that.
for people
It's
that are
not,
walking, yeah.
necessarily for driving. Now,
Yeah.
when it comes to driving, I always go to Google Maps.
Oh, absolutely.
But that's the thing; they don't give you. Well, the problem with Google Maps is it doesn't tell you intersections you're at or anything
No.
else, and they don't give you an option.
No.
They say it automatically detects when you're in a car, which is fine, except that it doesn't give you option really to choose what you hear when you're in a car.
No, that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, so everybody seems to have a little shortfall somewhere, things like that we wish they could address.
Oh,
some
Google
of
Maps
those.
Well,
could be an
Nearby
excellent
Explorer
app. The
works
only thing that Google Maps, in my view, has to do is allow configurability in terms of announce cross streets. That would be excellent,
Yeah.
and announce landmarks. If they did that, I wouldn't use anything else. It'd be
Well,
fine.
I agree, and Nearby Explorer did all of these things quite
And Nearby
well.
Explorer
so
does all of
it's
those things
possible
quite
for an
well.
app
So.
to do this, but unfortunately, Lazarillo does not. It's not a bad app, but it doesn't do the things that I need it to do, and this is why I have not used it as my primary app for a long time.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Well, you would think that the Google Maps, with all that accessibility plug-in, that it would be doing some of those.
Oh,
things that
it wouldn't
you
take much
just
work for
mentioned.
them to enable
But
landmarks and to enable
unfortunately,
cross
it
streets.
doesn't.
It wouldn't take much work. It'd be pretty easy.
Yeah,
Sure they can turn that on.
unfortunately, it would have to be an advanced feature. It's just not something that users really.
Put it in as an advanced setting, but I'm sure
Yeah.
it wouldn't take much effort.
Probably not.
No.
Well, I'm going to hop on my computer here, and then I'm going to play the.
Well, welcome back home to Mama.
Yeah, thank you. I don't think Mama is here, so I don't know.
No, but she will be happy to know you're back home.
Yeah.
Hey, I hope you took the dog for a walk. Geesh, after all that.
That'll be after.
Oh, poor dog.
Yeah, that'll be after this. I can't hold two phones and drag a dog along.
No, that would be difficult.
So Austin's commented here, Nimer, about 5 or 10 minutes ago, saying that apparently you're doing the moon landing. You're the new astronaut.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah, that's why I was telling him, Houston calling,
Houston, hello. All we needed is like that noise straight after you did that, so it sounds like you're actually, one of those Houston people. That'd be quite funny. I might see if I can put that in the podcast.
Oh, that would be so neat.
Tabitha says, I don't like that one of the last things you said before you cut out, Nimer, was that there's a bus.
Didn't like the bus, huh? Something was really loud.
Stan
I wonder what
Bobbett
that
wonders,
was.
what is that tapping that I can hear? Have you got a cane with you? I assume that Nimer was walking around with a cane. I actually wasn't really taking much notice, to be fair. I didn't really hear that, but I assume he would have been because he didn't have the dog, so...
I don't think he had a can. I didn't hear that. Or maybe I
And
wasn't paying attention.
Tabitha says he made it. Yep, Nimer's made it. He's just changing over from his phone to
changing from
the
phone
computer,
back
and
to
that's
the
pretty much
computer.
it. That's all the comments in the last little while. So listeners, bear with us as Nimer gets himself back up and running on
And
his
so we'll be,
PC.
plugging in the interview that we had with another developer. I think was it a couple of weeks ago?
Oleg.
A couple of weeks ago. Oleg Sheremet of the article reader and the Ispring
Oh,
reader.
yes. Oh, of course. Let's see here.
All right, I think we have Nimer back.
We do have Nimer back, but I don't think
Yeah,
Nimer
but he
is
still
on.
sounds like he's still down in China or approaching Mars or something. There you go.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Good.
You're like pounding on a keyboard or something, right? I think you are. That mechanical keyboard sounds really good. Now you guys are making me jealous. I probably think I need one.
Why are you jealous?
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay, let's see here. Oops. Why is my microphone not working?
Are you the
but
one
we-
under
we
the
hear
name
you.
Nee or Me or something?
That's my phone.
Ah.
My computer microphone. It's definitely not working.
Whoa, jeez. Ay.
Ay, ay, ay.
Well, because all you're gonna do is just see if you could just play that other interview.
All right, I've added you to the stream. You're added to the stream, so
Good.
you should be there now. Ah, there you are.
I'm here now.
So you might as well kill your phone so we don't keep getting.
Yes, kill my phone. If you put that on in the podcast, send that section on Telegram. Very good.
Hey, it sounds like you're actually on the moon, Nimer.
Good.
Yeah, because I hear all the reverb. Sounds like you're out in the moon, and I hear myself reverberating now too. And this is beautiful.
Yes, that's because I was on my phone.
I see.
Yes. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Let's kick my phone from the studio. There we go.
Okay.
We kicked the guest.
I've kicked the guest. There you go.
Oh, I just did it at the same time.
Oh, we did it.
Don't kick the guest.
The guest is gone. Bye-bye.
Bye, Rene.
All right.
I'll tell you what,
Now-
there's going to be a bit coming out of this one when it goes up. Ay.
Okay,
All right,
guys.
Nimer,
So
let's
let's
do it.
let's do our conclusion here. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please like and share and subscribe to the podcast. If you've enjoyed this, please share this on YouTube. And the reason we're doing this conclusion is I'm going to go ahead and play the next, the final interview here, but we're not going to hang around that long, so we're just going to do that, and we appreciate all you guys for listening. Please stay tuned for that interview, and we'll see you guys next week. Thank you, everybody.
Fantastic,
Bye.
Warren. Been a pleasure, mate,
Adios.
as always. And adios, and we'll catch you next week.
Thank you.
Okay. And now we'll pull up this interview. Oh, can you guys hear it? Nope, you guys can't hear it.
No, I can't hear a thing here.
Okay, let's see. Oh, I need to do Chrome tab. Sorry, guys.
All right, so we'll catch you all next week. Thank you, Nimer. And stand by for our interview with Oleg, which will be starting shortly.
Yes, here we go. Here's Ofoot.
We want to welcome our special guest of the week, and that would be Oleg Sheremet. Sheremet, you are the developer of both the article reader and the Ispring reader. Now, Oleg, I want you to take us back to when we first met, and I think that was back in 2016 when I first came across your app, which was the article reader. And it was something that I thought was very exciting. And then I contacted you about it because there were a few unlabeled buttons. And then also I was asking you to see if it was possible for you to introduce like a TTS reader. Could you take us back to article reader and then how we came about, or how you came about developing the Ispring reader?
Actually, I'm a designer. I'm professional user experience and user interface designer, but at some point I decided that I could create some apps on my own, and article reader was one of my first apps. Actually, article reader takes some URL of web page which contains article and try to clean it to remove all ads, some secondary content like comments, like I don't know, some anything that user doesn't need, and represent article to user in a nice way with no distractions. Also, at the moment I've added functionality so that it can save articles for offline reading. So,
and that was what actually attracted me to it as a blind user, because I was just frustrated with ads in the article and then things just cluttering the whole article. And so when I first came across that, then I said, wow, this is going to be great. And so take us then to Ispring Reader, because you had a different idea. You thought that, hey, maybe we could have something different, for blind people or something, because article reader is just for everybody out there until I asked you to integrate the TTS reader. The only way I could read it was using my screen reader, which I was fine with that. But I think for me, if I'm reading a long article, I want to kind of lay back or whatever and just shut off the screen and let the TTS reader read it. And so I contacted you about it to see if you could make that a possibility, and then you did. And then you had a better idea, which is the Ispring reader. Do you know of any blind people in your circles, or have you come across any blind person, or how did you come about the idea that we probably need something different for blind people?
Well, actually, I have never thought about article reader from this perspective, that it could be useful for blind people. And when I got your email and your request to make some improvements and the TTS functionality, I was surprised. And at that moment, I got an idea that article reader could be modified some way to be more focused on, to become more convenient for blind people, to remove all clutter which user with low vision or blind people do not need. For example, blind people don't need to see some view settings or some
Pictures.
pictures. Yeah, sure. And of course, interface could be changed, modified the way that it would be more easier to use the way blind people use the phone, a phone. Yeah. After first few releases, some other blind people contacted me. It was, if I'm not wrong, Olga from Russia and another one, Olga from Italy. And they also had some requests. Olga from Russia gave me more insight about how blind people use phone. For example, she told me that often it's used with media buttons on hardware keyboards, and I started to modify the app this way to work it better with media sessions and so on and so on. And another Olga from Italy asked me to integrate also reading not only articles but EPUB and FB2 format, so that it will be possible to listen to books using the same interface as for articles.
Was this something that was quite difficult to get functioning in terms of it being usable by a blind or visually impaired person?
I wouldn't say that it was difficult, but it was something really new. And to test the application, I tried to use it with closed eyes. And yes, it wasn't difficult, but it was really interesting.
And how long was the development of your application? When did you actually start developing it initially?
I don't remember for sure. I think it was months and something, because actually it's not my main work. So I was developing. I developed when I had some free time, mostly weekend and somewhere in the evening. But to modify article reader so that it will become Ispring reader, it wasn't too long.
What are some great features of your app? You know, if a user's looking to use your app, why would they want to use the app?
You know, honestly, I didn't think so much about how to differentiate my app from others, because at that moment I just wanted to practice in app development. So any application which I find interesting to develop was fine for me. So there was no investigation or something. Actually, article reader I started to develop as a replacement of clean view of Safari browser on iPhone, because at that moment I switched from iPhone to Android phone and just started to add some features little by little. And Ispring reader, I think it's pretty convenient, because once you share some link from browser to the app, it just starts to read article in a second, and you don't need to press some additional buttons or make some manipulations with interface. Also, interface of the app is optimized for blind people. Buttons are huge with high contrast with low vision users.
Okay.
And I would add that, though, I think what sets yours apart, and there are very few that have this capability, not even Google Playbooks has the ability for one to choose the TTS that he or she would like to use it with. And so for me, I think that's a huge plus for a reader, because if I want to be doing other things with my main screen reader while my book or article is being read by a different TTS, to me that's a huge plus, and we don't always see that. And I could count a few that could do that, and yours happens to be one of those. Now, Oleg, there's one thing that the EPUB reading, and I've been meaning to talk to you about it, but I haven't been, and so maybe this is a good opportunity to ask you to see if it's something you would like to look into later on or whatever the case may be. But as it is though, now I can't like say, hey, I want to go from chapter 1 to chapter 2, like click like and open up a table of contents or something like that. And also from the main UI of the app, I can't just say, okay, open, or let's say I go to books. There's no place for me to open my or browse my phone to go pick a new book. You think it's something you could look into sometime? I know you haven't been working on the app for a while, and for a while it wasn't there on the Play Store until we started talking that you brought it back.
No, it was there. It was removed.
It was there? I just couldn't see it.
It wasn't there because of privacy policy violation, because I didn't add privacy policy to Google Play page.
Let me ask you, Oleg, do you find it difficult in terms of being an app developer to market the app and to be involved on the Play Store? How do you find that as an experience for yourself personally?
Actually, when you try to make your app successful, there are some things which now I think that it's obvious, but at the moment I started all that stuff, I didn't think about it. One thing when you just working on some app which you do not plan to monetize, and but when you create some app which you hope to get revenue from, it becomes a little bit tricky because you need to make it successful in some short term, in some short time. Actually, there are many things which you should know before you start to develop.
Well,
apps.
I was about to actually say to you, I suppose that once you've sort of been involved in something like this for a little while, I suppose you sort of you're learning as you go, aren't you? You are, there's things that you think back to now, to the past. I imagine you think, oh, gee, I wish I'd done that differently.
Yes. Little by little you get some experience. For example, a few weeks ago I've got a very painful lesson. Google blocked my AdMob account, so now I cannot monetize my apps with Google AdMob, and I tried to replace AdMob network with another advertisement networks, but it doesn't give even close level of revenue. So you need to read policies of Google Play and of AdMob. Really, you need to scrutinize them and to react on any email from AdMob or Google, because they can block you forever. My account on Google AdMob was blocked forever, so now I cannot use it. And the same can happen with your Google Play account.
Yeah, it seems to be a bit of a common thread, because I do know of a couple of other apps, one app in particular that I use for listening to podcasts, which has had very similar issues. It seems to be something that's fairly common, and I'm sure quite frustrating.
Yes, it's really frustrating, because I have a really simple app which allows user to put some cute frames over their baby's photo, and Google sent me email that it violates their policies, and it sounds like my app enables dishonor behavior. And as example of such an violation, there was your app could allow other users to mislead some other users, or it allows or instructs user how to get unauthorized access to sites or services, or steal something. But I was really shocked, because my app allows put frames on baby's photos.
Well, I was going to say, that's a little bit different to stealing something. I don't think you'd be stealing anything from what you're saying about the app. That's crazy.
Even frames which I use are used legally. I paid for them, and I have all licenses. So I tried a few times to fix that, but it turns out that you can try one time, and after that probably another one try. But after that, Google just won't review your case.
You're not alone. A lot of developers have had the same experience, and having their apps, removed. I think even the popular app from, was it Tasker, even had some issue a little while ago. So you're not the only one I think Google needs to kind of rethink some of the things. I understand why they're doing this. They're trying to protect us users, but I think sometimes they're kind of it's a little bit heavy-handed.
Yeah, I understand, but the problem is, you see this category of violation, and you just can't imagine what your app could do, because it's such a pretty serious violation. But I don't know how it could happen to my app, and they do not tell you which exactly violation or how does your app violates. So you can try 1 or 2 times, but I still not sure if I figured it out. So it's tough.
So are you going to charge for your app? You said that you're not making as much revenue from ads. Are you going to charge for your app?
There are some in-app purchases which allows to turn off ads. So it still generates some revenue and some little revenue with another network. But I think in the future I will rethink monetization model. And also I decided that for some time I will leave such a way of getting money and will go to work somewhere as UX designer or developer, because I don't have time now for some experiments with apps.
Okay. And your app is just Android app, right?
Actually, one more complication with all the situation is because my apps are written with Flutter. It's multi-platform SDK, and the only mature plugin for advertisements is AdMob. So I had to add some native site code to show another ads from another network. And at the moment, ads works on Android. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
As it stands, though, the as far as I know, the Ispring reader doesn't have any ads in it.
Yeah. At that moment, I didn't
Reader.
try to monetize yet. At that moment, I just practiced to develop some apps, and only for 1 or 1.5 years, I tried to make apps as a source of revenue for myself.
Well, I truly hope that you continue to work in the field that you're doing at the moment. Obviously, I mean, don't get discouraged, even though I'm sure it's sometimes you just want to throw in the towel because of what's been going on. But there are a lot of us that do definitely appreciate the work that you're doing.
Thanks.
Yes, we
Yes,
definitely appreciate the
thank
work that
you.
you're doing. Is there anything else that you would like our listeners to know about you or your app? And then also if you can provide us with, contact information so people can get in touch with you if they have any feedback?
Sure. Any user can contact me with email, which is on Google Play. So feel free.
Okay.
If I can help, I will.
Great. Are you going to continue making updates to the app moving forward, or?
For some time, I will. I won't have time for that.
Okay.
Maybe some minor, because not good moment for working on my apps now.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Well, because the
well-
Ispring has 4.5 rating, and I would hate to see it go, but I think that maybe when you have time later on, you could maybe push a little update to it, whatever. Right now, it works with Android 11, so it's kind of neat.
Okay, I will.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your
thank
time.
you, Oleg.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
If you have any future updates, maybe you can come on with us and let us know.
Yeah, sure.